Hey guys, what's up? It's Rob Dotson from the Google Chrome team, and today I'm going to show you how you can use Bower to install private dependencies off of GitHub. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to create a netrc file. A netrc file is where we can store logins and passwords to various services. So what we're going to do is we're going to store a token that lets us sign in to GitHub. I'm going to go over to my profile page. There I am, looking beautiful. And go over to account settings and click on applications. So I've got a bunch of these access tokens created already. You might have some, you may not. It's fine either way. What you want to do is you want to click on generate new token. And when we do this, it's going to pop up and ask us for a description for our token. So you could just say like personal GitHub token, something like that. Then it's going to want to know some scopes, and scopes are basically permissions that we grant to this token. So this is the ability to access private repos, to deploy to private repos. I think the only thing that we really need is the ability to access private repos. So if you want, we can leave these other things checked. I don't think we're going to need the ability to make gists or anything like that. Then you can click on Generate New Token. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you back to this page, and you're just going to see a string of like text and digits. And that's your actual like GitHub OAuth token. Now, I didn't do it because I don't want to reveal my token to anybody. But what you've got to do once you see that token is you got to copy it to your clipboard. And then you've got to bust open the terminal. And we're going to create a file that's called a netrc file. So some of you may have one of these created already. If not, you're just going to use a text editor. I use Sublime, but maybe use TextMate or something like that. And we're going to create a file in our user directory, and it's going to be called .netrc. Okay, so we open that up, and maybe you have nothing in here. If not, that's totally cool. What you're going to do is you're going to write out machine github.com. Login, and you're going to write out your username. And then for password, you're going to write out whatever that like giant token was, whatever that giant token string that you copied was. So you're going to save this. And after you've saved your netrc file, you've got to do one more step. You've actually got to add this little command right here to your gitconfig. So the command that I'm running here, it's going to set a property on our gitconfig file globally. And what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, anytime you see a URL that looks like git://github.com, I want you to instead replace that URL with https://github.com. And what this is going to do is it's going to force Bower to use HTTPS instead of the SSH keys that it usually wants to use. For whatever reason, when Bower's using SSH keys and you've got private things on GitHub that depend on other private things in GitHub, it just has issues passing those keys around, and it can kind of get like flubbed up. But if you're using HTTPS and you're using a netrc file, then things always work. So we're going to hit enter to add this thing to our gitconfig file. You can actually check that this got added properly. You can go to, in your text editor, open user directory /.gitconfig. And you'll see down here at the bottom, you should have something that looks kind of like this, where it says URL https://github.com instead of git://github.com. Okay, so this means every time we try and access github.com from here on into the future, it's going to try to use HTTPS. And what it's going to do is it's going to look in our netrc file for that token that we put in there, and it's going to use that to authenticate with with GitHub. All right, one more step, I think. Let's actually try and clone a private repo to show that all of these things work. So I just paused the video for a sec so that I could update my netrc file and add my GitHub token so everything would work. What I've got here is a private repo on GitHub. This is a little element I created called bower-foo. It doesn't really do anything, but if you look at its bower.json file, you'll see that it depends on another element called bower-bar, and it's just using the GitHub style owner/repo syntax to point at that dependency. And over here in this other tab, I've got bower-bar. This is another private GitHub repo. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone bower foo, and we're going to run bower install, and it should pull down that bower-bar dependency for us. So we're going to use HTTPS to clone the repo. I'm just going to, let's see, we'll go to our desktop here, make a new directory called, or wait, sorry, we're just cloning. All right, so git clone bower-foo, pull this guy down. All right, I'm going to cd into that directory. Then we're going to run bower install. And if everything goes according to plan, this should pull down that bower-bar dependency. So we wait. You might sometimes see like a little yellow field that says that it's retrying the checkout because maybe it's switching from Git to HTTPS. But it looks like everything went okay. So we're going to bust open Sublime to see what we got. So here's our bower foo element. It's a little Polymer element that I created. Here's that bower.json file that depends on bower-bar, which is that private repo. And in our Bower components folder, we've got Polymer and we've got bower-bar. And the reason we got Polymer was because Polymer is a dependency of bower-bar. So really quick, easy setup to be able to start installing private things off of GitHub. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Maybe if you're like behind a corporate firewall, or you're working on a client project and you really want to use GitHub and you really want to use Bower, but you can't make all your work public just yet. This is a great way to do all of that. So thanks again for watching, and have a great night.